Hey, you guys, I have been dying to chat with you about this. Okay. So, do you know the secret to starting your math class off on the right foot? It is all in the warm up. I hear you guys. I hear you. I hear you asking, how can a strong warm up set the tone for a focused and engaged math class? Well, hey, I'm Kristen Moore, your host here on the Modern Math Teacher Podcast. And today we're diving into why warm ups are essential. I'm going to share practical ideas for making them impactful and leaving you with some simple warm up strategies you can implement tomorrow, even if you are short on prep time. Are you ready for it? Let's do this. First up, why do warm ups matter? You guys, for a long time, I really overlooked the power of the warm up. I'm embarrassed to say, okay? I thought it was just a 5-minute time waster. So why bother writing one if I wasn't going to check it anyway? And maybe you feel the same way. But here's the real role of a warm up in math class. First, they set the tone and they focus your students' attention. It's a way to let your students know that, yes, we are doing something today. And no, it's not just a free day. It lets them know that you're serious about the learning and you've got a solid plan for what you're doing with them that day. Secondly, it provides a structured routine that your students can rely on. When we're asking students to take risks in our math class, it's important they feel safe. I know so many of us here are working on building thinking classrooms and trying new and engaging strategies in your classes like project based learning, right? So, giving them structures they can rely on helps them feel that safety net, okay? And thirdly, your warm ups offer a great opportunity for review, for skills practice, and sparking curiosity about the day's lesson. So, what can make for a great warm up, right? Warm ups are not all built the same. The structure can tell you a lot about a warm up. First of all, great warm ups should be short, okay? We don't want them taking up too much time. They should be engaging and they should be aligned with your goals for the day. Okay. In terms of difficulty, I want you to think of warm ups that are accessible to all students while still encouraging thinking and effort for all of them. And what should be included in there? I'm thinking it should be a mix of skill building, exploration, and of course, my favorite, real world relevance. All right. Now, while warm ups could be simply used on checking in on procedural skills, I prefer warm ups that engage my students in critical thinking and application. I know, again, many of you are working on, implementing BTC strategies. So why not start your class with a real world warm up that already gets their wheels turning, right? A quick problem of the day is going to kick off your math class. After all, we know that our students like to avoid those word problems or practice their learned helplessness when they encounter them. So why not combat that right from the start? Tackling a word problem right up front helps students think through the problem, what it's asking them to do. It helps them connect the right procedure and apply that procedure to solve the problem, all in a comfortable and safe context of a warm up routine where they know they have that safety of being able to collaborate with somebody near them to check their work. It's just a great opening strategy for your math class, especially when you're asking them to take riskier moves as you move throughout the day. Now, let's talk about some warm up ideas to energize your math class. Today, I've got 5 practical warm up strategies you can use in your classroom. First up, let's talk about some quick review problems. You can choose 1 to 3 problems that reinforce recently taught skills. For example, solve for x, right? 2x plus 5 equals 15. What is the value of x? This is again great for just double checking those procedures or going back and reviewing procedures that you're going to need for the upcoming lessons, like a review preview kind of a style. Okay. Secondly, we can use warm ups with some data driven questions. It's a great way to get a little bit of that test prep built in, thinking about data, right? So you can use real world examples like sports and current events, like I talked about in the last couple of episodes. You can say here, for example, if a basketball player makes 8 out of 10 free throws, what's their shooting percentage? So you can connect it to, fractions, decimals, percents, whatever it is that you are working on there, probability. Third, you can get them thinking with some math puzzles or some brain teasers. Okay. So you can encourage creative thinking with some super fun challenges, whether you've got like a Sudoku for them or a Horatu. Oh gosh, I can't actually, a Hidato puzzle. That's what my students were really into just recently. Okay. Or you can just give them kind of like one of those good thinking kind of teaser questions, like a train leaves Chicago going 60 miles per hour, another leaves New York going 50, and they're headed towards each other. When are they going to meet? Those kinds of questions, that are the bane of my existence. I have trauma from them back in high school, but it's really good to talk through those with your students. Okay, so let's see. That's 3 of them, right? So quick review or preview problems. some data-driven questions where you're looking at data or making up some data, math puzzles, brain teasers. That's going to bring us to 4. Okay, so we can stop, collaborate, and listen with some collaborative think, pair, share questions. You can pose an open-ended questions to your students and have them discuss. For example, what strategies can we use to solve this equation? Name 2, right? So you post an equation on the board, you have them sit and discuss. You don't actually have them solve, but like what strategies could we use? This could be great for like a quadratic where you've got so many different options. You could use factoring, you could use um, the quadratic formula. You could potentially use square roots, right? So getting them talking and thinking about what makes sense and why is a great idea. And last, let's revisit my favorite real world warm ups with some sort of problem of the day. So connecting warm ups to your current unit. Current unit, it is what it is, right? We're all about keeping it real here. We're going to connect warm ups to your current unit with relatable real world scenarios. So, for example, if you budget $20 for a movie and a snack, how much could you spend if each ticket costs $12? So you're looking at like linear equations there. And if that kind of warm up sounds right up your alley, you are in luck. I just this weekend started creating these for my classroom, and I'm sharing them now for you and your classroom too. I'll be sure to link all the current word problem warm up sets in the show notes below. I don't have them all fully done yet, but I do have football themed ones for the Super Bowl. And I've got basketball ones for March Madness coming up. And I've got a bunch of Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 random topics for semester 2 that are coming up. And each one is getting added each day as I get them done. So be sure to check those out. I'll link them here. All right. So let's get to our takeaways from today's episode. Now that we know that warm-ups aren't a time waster and they do serve a really strong purpose in the classroom, here's a quick way you can incorporate warm-up ideas tomorrow. And it's a 6th bonus warm-up idea, just in case the other 5 weren't enough for you. Go ahead and try out the number of the day activity tomorrow. Here is how it works. Okay, you're going to choose a number and have your students create equations, graphs, or word problems that include it. Simple as that. You could choose it based on what day of the week it is. Today is the 22nd, or if the number is 24, students could write different equations and expressions for it. Like 24 is 6 times 4, or 24 is 4 less than 28. Or if I bought a dozen eggs for $8 and you bought a dozen eggs for $8, together we've got 24 eggs and we spent $16. And that is the state of buying eggs here in Michigan right now. All right, so you can adapt this to align with your current unit or review needs, whatever it is. Go ahead and think about creating a warm-up bank for yourself also with some go-to activities sorted by topic or goal, whether that's review, critical thinking, real-world math. Just start yourself a Google Doc, or I love Google Docs right now because you can put tabs in them. So I would totally do it in a Google Doc, not a sheet. It's just so much simpler to type things into a Google Doc. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap this up with a quick recap for today's episodes. So number 1, warm-ups are powerful tools for setting the tone and engaging students right away in your math class. Whether you're using warm-ups, you can use a mix of strategies. You can use review problems. You can use puzzles. You can use real-world scenarios. Anything you want, you can keep things fresh and relevant for your students and engage them right from the beginning of class. Starting strong with warm-ups leads to better engagement all lesson long. So if you want more warm-up ideas, go ahead and check out those resources I mentioned on TBT. They're packed with ready-to-go starters from a variety of topics you're going to be covering this upcoming semester. And hey, as always, if you found this episode helpful, don't forget to share this podcast with a colleague or leave a review. I read all of them. It means so much to me, and it helps other teachers like you find this podcast. In the midst of this Arctic freeze here in Michigan, I'm hoping you're inspired to keep things warm in your classroom. That's it for today's episode. Keep starting strong, keep inspiring curiosity, and as always, keep it real.